The movie begins with Mike, played by Liam Neeson, still carrying the pain of losing his younger brother during the events of the first film. The tragedy has left him deeply scarred, and he spends his days seeing a psychologist to deal with the trauma. After one such session, he returns home and goes through his brother's belongings, only to find a letter. In it, his brother had written that his lifelong wish was to climb Mount Everest, but fate never allowed it. He asked Mike to cremate him and scatter his ashes on the peak. Determined to fulfill this last request, Mike immediately books a flight to Nepal, setting in motion a journey that will spiral into danger and survival against merciless enemies. At the foot of the Himalayas, however, a darker story is unfolding. A wealthy developer named John is trying to convince local villagers to sell their land so he can construct a massive hydropower dam. He promises progress and wealth, but the villagers know better. They fear the dam will drown their homes and destroy the sacred water springs they depend on. Led by the village chief, they stand firm in their refusal. For John, though, too much money has already been invested, and failure is not an option. To eliminate opposition, he orders his men to target the villagers. They stage a brutal bus crash on the winding mountain roads, killing many, including the respected village elder. Only Bob, the chief's grandson, narrowly survives, managing to escape before the attack. When he tries to expose John, corrupt police officers dismiss it as an accident. Meanwhile, Mike arrives in Nepal and checks into a guest house where he meets his guide, Dani, a Malaysian Sherpa of mixed heritage. Experienced and courageous, she has summited Everest 10 times, a feat few in the world can match. Mike and Dani soon join a tourist bus headed for the mountains, along with a driver who knows Dani well and other travelers, including George and his teenage daughter Mary. At first, the trip seems normal, filled with chatter and sightseeing, but the illusion doesn't last. Bob secretly boards the same bus, unaware that John's hired killers are following him closely. Among them is Jenny, a cold-blooded assassin who slips onto the bus and sits beside him. Soon, weapons are drawn, phones are confiscated, and the tourists find themselves trapped. As the killers seize control, Dani whispers to Mike that these mercenaries never leave witnesses alive. Realizing that survival depends on quick action, Mike quietly hatches a plan. Taking advantage of a delay caused by a flock of sheep, he and Dani sabotage the bus tire. The chaos gives them a chance to fight back. Dani, skilled in combat from her past military service, disarms Jenny in a fierce hand-to-hand fight, while Mike takes down another attacker using trekking poles as improvised weapons. With help from Mary, who bravely pushes a gun toward Dani, the tourists manage to overpower the assassins. Just as the driver struggles to steady the swerving vehicle on the edge of a cliff, Mike risks his life to recover his brother's urn. The police arrive moments later, and Jenny is arrested. For a brief time, everyone breathes easier, believing the nightmare is over. But John's influence runs deep. The police who take control of the situation are already in his pocket, ensuring that danger never really goes away. At a nearby village, George, ever suspicious, notices inconsistencies in their story. He realizes that Bob, the key witness to John's crimes, is in grave danger under police custody. Acting quickly, George and Mike discover that Bob is being tortured. Furious, George threatens to expose the corruption to international authorities, but John arrives before he can act, sparking a violent gunfight. Outnumbered and outgunned, Mike holds off the attackers while Dani escapes with Bob and the others. George, however, is killed during the chaos, leaving his daughter Mary devastated. Now hunted relentlessly, the survivors flee in their battered bus. Pursuers chase them across treacherous terrain, and though Mike uses every ounce of his driving skill to outmaneuver them, he is wounded in the process. Still, he hides the injury from the group, unwilling to worry them. Along the way, the bus suffers mechanical failures, forcing them into desperate measures. On narrow, icy mountain roads where one wrong move means instant death, they use a winch to stabilize the vehicle. When the winch fails, Mike makes the harrowing decision to cut the safety rope, trusting his instincts to guide them through. Miraculously, they survive, though the bus axle is destroyed. Searching wreckage at the bottom of the cliffs, they scavenge parts from other crashed vehicles to keep moving forward. John, furious at their resilience, continues his pursuit with renewed determination. He tricks the village chief by intercepting messages, but the elder quickly spots the deception and sets a trap. Eventually, Mike and his group reunite with the chief, though Mike collapses from his untreated wound. Danny removes the bullet with crude tools, risking her own safety to save him. Meanwhile, Mary begins to transform from a frightened girl into someone braver, learning self-defense from Danny and standing firm in the face of danger. Their journey leads them to a canyon where the only way across is with a crane, since the bridge remains unfinished. As the bus dangles midair, John and his men catch up. The chief sacrifices himself to cover their escape, falling victim to John's ruthless bullet. With their magazines nearly empty, the group fights desperately while the bus hangs suspended. Mike, clinging to the side, manages to swing into the crane's control room and overpower Jenny in another brutal fight. He restarts the crane and hauls the bus to safety, but John is relentless, chasing them with his vehicles across the canyon. The final stretch becomes a deadly race. The villains unleash explosives and even rocket launchers to stop the bus. At one point, Mary and Bob step up, fighting side by side to protect the others. Jenny makes her last stand, clinging to the bus and battling Danny in a savage struggle that leaves both women blooded. In the end, Danny summons her remaining strength to overpower her, and with Mike's help, Jenny is thrown from the vehicle into the abyss. One by one, the enemies fall, until only John remains. Mike corners him on the cliffside, ramming his vehicle until it teeters dangerously at the edge. Then, in a grimly fitting moment, he lets the group decide John's fate. The vote is unanimous. John is sent over the edge, ending his reign of terror once and for all. With peace restored, Bob becomes the new village chief. Under his leadership, a smaller, environmentally friendly dam is built, one that provides electricity without destroying the sacred springs. The villagers regain their dignity and stability. Mike and Danny, along with Mary, finally complete their climb to Everest. On the peak, Mike scatters his brother's ashes, fulfilling the promise that started this dangerous journey. As the wind howls over the snowy summit, the moment is both solemn and liberating. When the mission is complete, Mike prepares to return home. He and Danny share a quiet, unspoken bond, forged through everything they've endured together. At the airport, he almost boards his flight, but a simple sight, a climbing rope in a shop, reminds him of his brother's words about living fully. Realizing he has found something more meaningful than closure, he turns back. Their eyes meet one last time as she drives away, only to stop and step out, both finally acknowledging the connection they had been avoiding. And so, the movie closes on a note of survival, sacrifice, and unexpected love, leaving behind the haunting image of mountains that witnessed both tragedy and triumph. And that's how the movie comes to an end. We'll meet again in the next story. Always stay happy and keep smiling. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share it with your friends too.